If you are a beginner and you're thinking about Bokashi composting or any other type of composting methods, I'm going to give you the pros and cons of each so you can decide which works best for you. So enjoy the video! Well, hello. Let's talk about the Bokashi method first. And how this setup works, it's an anaerobic method, which means no air is allowed to be inside of this container. So you get two 5-gallon kitty litter pails. You drill little holes on the bottom of one of them for drainage. And the other one you set on the bottom. The one that has holes, you stack it on top of the one that does not have holes. And you add some bran. It's kind of like oatmeal or flaxseed type of material that gives the yeast mixture. You put that down. You add something on the bottom as well to give your food scraps a little, you elevate it a little bit more, and you put your food scraps onto the bran. You can put food scraps, meat, and bones into this method. Then you sprinkle some bran, you keep layering it, and then you put the lid on. And what it does, it ferments and starts to mold, okay? And the reason I do not like this method is because you're supposed to keep pouring the liquid out about once a week, because if you don't, the liquid starts to smell. So I don't get that. And then the next thing you're supposed to do, the food becomes moldy, and then you dig a trench in your garden and you bury it. So for me, I don't like that method because I'm like, what's the point of burying that if it's supposed to compost? And what if you don't have a garden or a place to bury it? So I'm going to say that's not a good option. Composting bins, I like those. They come in a variety of shapes and sizes. You can make your own out of pallets, and you can also purchase some. And the thing that I like about a composting bin is that you can add your food scraps in there. You can put leaves, and you can put your grass in there. And the thing is, if you want your compost to break, and you have to add moisture as well. And the thing that I like about composting with a compost bin is that if you let it sit, it will break down over time. But if you turn it with a pitchfork or something once a week, it will help it to break down a lot sooner. So the only disadvantage I don't like about a composting bin is when it gets cold. If you live in a cold climate and you get snow and ice, there's no way you can get to your compost bin to add your food scraps. So that's just a negative that I don't like about it. Another thing that I don't like too is that it can also stink if you don't have the right mixtures of your carbons, your browns, or your greens, your nitrogens. But don't overthink it. Keep it simple and you'll be just fine. Compost tumblers as well are tumblers that are, and another thing before I forgot to add, the thing I like about a compost bin, you can just put a pile on the ground, add your food scraps, and mix it up with your leaves or whatever, and your grass, and it will break down. And that allows earthworms and other natural critters to help break it down. Now, the composting tumbler, I like that because you can put food scraps in it and rotate it with your browns and your greens, and that'll help break down your food scraps to become compost. The only negative I don't like about it, the con, is that it gets heavy and sometimes they're hard to turn. And also it doesn't allow earthworms to get into the compost tumbler. And when it's time to get your compost out of the tumbler, you have to actually turn it over so the dirt, your compost can fall on the ground and you can use that. So that's definitely another thing I don't like. But compost tumblers are a good option. If you have chickens, I think chicken composting is awesome, because with chickens, you build a pile, you put your food scraps in there, the chickens will scratch it down, get in there, eat the worms, whatever else is in there, the ants, and then all you have to do is just keep raking your compost back up, and the the chickens will keep scratching. The only con about it is if you're not allowed to have chickens in town, you can't use that method. And some towns don't allow you to have roosters. But chicken composting is a win-win for you because you get eggs and you have compost made from your chickens as well. Another method that is used is with black soldier flies. And how this works, you set up a container with your black soldier flies, you add food scraps in there. Your black soldier flies, they will eat food scraps, they'll eat meat, they will devour a lot of things that you put into that. Only thing that's a con about this method is the fact that you have to have the process going at a certain temperature. I think it's between 55 and 80 degrees where they're comfortable. So in the winter, you're going to definitely not be successful with this method. But black soldier flies is a common method, how people use what people do to compost their food scraps. So once again, black soldier flies is a win, especially if you have chickens or lizards or whatever. You can feed that to your farm animals or your reptiles as well. And also you have the worm bin or the vermicomposting method, which is a method where you use composting worms. You put them in a tote or a container or something. There's air, and all you do is add shredded cardboard, shredded paper, peat moss, cocoa coir, horse manure, or whatever you're into, and you put your worms in there. You add some food scraps that bends the consistency of a wrung out sponge, and all you do is every week or two, you check on your worms. You feed them food scraps, but don't feed them meats or dairy products. But the thing to think about is you can compost all year round with worms, because if you're allowed to keep them into your house, the only way people will know that you own a worm farm is when you let them know, because a lot of times they look like just regular tables. People keep them under their kitchen sinks. They might even keep them in their bedroom. So these are just a few things I want you to think about before you start composting. And as a bonus, you can also make a no rules compost. And this method is you get a container, such as a galvanized steel trash can, you drill holes in it for the air to come through. You can add meat, leaves, everything, but I wouldn't put bones in there and it will break down. Just add more carbons, and you want to have it sealed so no rats or any other pests can get into that, and that'll break down as well, and that's called the no composting method. So which method do you use, and which method have you tried and you're like, I don't like this one either? I just want to take time to let you know that there's other options to composting than just one way. So if you found this video helpful, give it a like. If you like what you're hearing from me, subscribe to my channel. I just want to take time out to say thank you for watching this video. You have a great day. Bye.